Hi guys, and welcome to the last video of session 4. Thanks so much for sticking around. So far, we've talked about God's plan for sexuality and how NFP is a healthy and morally acceptable way to plan for your family. Now, I would like to talk about the other side of the coin, which is what happens when couples struggle with infertility. A significant percentage of couples will experience infertility or diminished fertility during part of or throughout their entire childbearing years. Having struggled with infertility ourselves, and also knowing several couples who have infertility issues, I can tell you that we are intimately familiar with how difficult it is to experience this cross in marriage. After all, it is a natural and even supernatural inclination to desire children. Infertility is brutal, and it deserves compassion, care, and much more time to address than I have in this video. But let's see if I can give you some key points to keep in mind if you are ever faced in this situation. When talking about how to best help couples who are struggling with infertility, we should keep in mind that children are neither rights, as in, I have a right to have a child, or burdens, which is how they are often viewed in relation to our own desires. In reality, children are their own persons, created for their own sake. They are blessings and gifts from God. As Christians, we know that every child, every person, has inherent rights, and his or her first right as a human being is to be conceived in the loving union between mother and father. So what recourse do infertile couples have? The Church strongly supports all ethical ways to help restore fertility and encourages scientists to continue the development of such methods. Ethical methods of fertility must respect 3 fundamental goods. First, the right to life and the physical integrity of the human being from conception to natural death. Second, the unity of marriage, which means the spouses become parents only together and through each other. Third, the dignity of human procreation, which requires that each child be conceived as the fruit of the conjugal act. One of the greatest benefits of NFP is having access to doctors who are experts in ethical fertility treatments. Such treatments include maximizing the peak fertility time of the couple, hormonal or drug treatments, and or corrective surgery to address the source of the problem. In all of these scenarios, the marital act remains intact, and the child is conceived through a loving union of the parents. So there's about an 80 to 85% success rate in helping couples achieve pregnancy through any of these methods. There are other methods, however, such as in vitro fertilization, or IVF, artificial insemination, and surrogacy, which are problematic because they interfere with the rights and dignity of the parents and the child. These methods, in some way or another, depersonalize and dehumanize the act of procreation. They can lead us to think of humans as objects to be procured or used for a certain end. These methods also weaken the respect for the human person in his or her embryonic stage, as in the case of IVF, where multiple embryos are sacrificed as part of the process. Assisted procreation also complicates relationships, as in the case of donor eggs or sperm, or surrogate parents. A myriad of other unforeseen negative consequences are slowly coming to the surface as these methods become increasingly more mainstream. Such tragic cases pop up in the news with regular frequency. For those couples who remain infertile after exploring all ethical options, my heart truly goes out to them. Adoption remains a loving and extraordinarily courageous way to grow your family. I have the greatest admiration for couples who open their hearts and home to kids who need them. If adoption is not possible, perhaps then these beautiful people are called to become spiritual mothers and fathers to others. Our community certainly needs such people. God can make much good out of much suffering. I'll end this video with 2 thoughts. First, that struggling with infertility does not mean that God has abandoned you. It is a painful cross to bear, for sure, but one that, if you let it, can reap much good in your marriage. My personal struggles with infertility and miscarriages have taught me that I am not in control, and it has given me so much more compassion and empathy for others. Second, I'll share that the ethical fertility treatments are often less invasive and less costly, with higher success rates. I'll share my personal story here. My husband and I struggled with infertility for the first 13 years of our marriage. Thanks to NFP, I underwent hormonal treatments, which made it possible for me to ovulate a total of 5 times in 13 years. I know exactly how many times I ovulated because we were practicing NFP, and so we were being extremely conscientious of my fertile and infertile times. And that's exactly how our first 4 children were conceived. Then, in my late 30s, my fertility miraculously healed itself, and I went on to get pregnant a couple more times, and those 2 times sadly ended in miscarriages. But then baby number 5, our last miracle baby, arrived in my early 40s. So there's always hope. If you find yourselves one day facing infertility, I invite you to pursue any of these ethical methods. And if that happens to be the case one day, you can always contact me for more information. All right, well, we've come to the end of session 4. We've made it, and I congratulate you. For your homework, I'm sending you guys a link to the encyclical Humanae Vitae, just this document right here, as well as a number of articles and podcasts for you to check out at your own leisure. I'm also sending you links to various NFP methods in case you're interested in learning about any of them. And you can always contact me if you would like more information about anything really that I've talked about. All right, well, happy reading, and I will see you guys in session 5.